Hi. Okay, so most of you know that I lead art in the school. So I thought it would be nice to actually continue with our art lessons, even though we are at home. Majority of the time, you're just going to need stuff that you can find in your home, okay? And the art project that we're building to will be a final piece of still life, and we will look into that in a little bit more detail later on. But first of all, we're going to come along and look at some basic art techniques. So we're going to look firstly at drawing techniques and tone. Okay, tone is an element of the art, and you might have heard me in my classroom refer to these things before. Today's lesson, all you're going to need is a piece of paper. Now, if you're in Kingfishers, your Christmas present that I gave you included a drawing pad. So if you've still got that, that paper will work perfectly, okay? And you'll just need a pencil. If you do happen to own any of the pencils, like drawing pencils, then that's fine. But if not, just a standard writing pencil, the HB ones, they'll work perfectly as well, okay? I am going to work in a 3B today because I don't seem to have a HB in my set, which isn't a problem. Okay, so let me start by sharing my screen with you. We're going to look at drawing techniques to begin with. All right, so let's make that bigger. Right, we're just going to skip through this, but most of you know we get three different types of pencil when we're drawing. We have H pencils where the lead is quite hard, and they're good for those soft outlines. Your medium is kind of what we write with and draw with in most everyday life, and they're sort of like the HB from, you know, the F and the B. And then you have your real soft pencils, which are 2B right up to 9B. And I know in school you have got access to these pencils, and I know Kingfishers, we've used them before as well. Right, okay, let's move on. So there's a video here. I'm going to see if it works, and this is going to just give you an idea of how pencils can give different tones. And for those of you that don't know what tone is, it's the degree of lightness or darkness, okay? Let me share my computer sound. We'll click here. Okay. It doesn't seem to be there. Where's it gone? Bear with me, guys. Okay, it's not there. It doesn't matter. We do not need to watch the video because we're going to experiment ourselves. But if you look at the image that's on your screen, okay, you can see the different levels of tone that has been used in that image. You can see the background is quite dark. Her hair has elements of tone where you can see here it's really quite light, and this is how they've shown the reflection of light on her hair. It's dark around the edges, and then they've used tone here to show the creases of her roll neck jumper as well. It says to experiment with different pencil grades in your sketchbook. We're just going to experiment using whatever pencil we've got, making tone with that pencil. So here's some ways of making texture with a pencil. Now, texture is also an element of art. It's the feeling or appearance of the consistency of an object or a material. Okay, it can be natural, so think about the texture of a tree, on a tree trunk. It can be man-made, functional, or decorative. Artists try to replicate the texture of a subject to make their work look realistic. So think about a teddy bear and how fluffy they are, and how you could replicate the texture of the teddy bear using techniques from your art lessons that we have learned. So you can see here these different styles. I think if I had a real fluffy teddy bear, I would probably use this one here. It looks like little bits of popcorn, doesn't it? I think that one would probably be the best one for a teddy bear. So that's how you can create texture with a pencil. All these different, you can have swirls. These look like flames. This is actually cross hatching here. Okay. Okay, this is a good idea to do, I think. If you pause me, go and find some different textures in your house. Just have a look. Find 2 objects that have opposite textures, maybe something that's quite smooth and then something that's quite rough perhaps, or something that's soft and something that's hard. Have a little look at them, look at the texture that they have, and just so you can get a good idea and understanding of the word texture. As soon as you've done that, just come back and feel free to continue to play the PowerPoint. Okay, so when we are drawing texture using our line, okay, that's just you making lines with pencils, something that we learn very early on in life, and tone, which we've already discussed is the lightness and the darkness. It says to have an experiment drawing different textures with different pencils. Now, obviously, I'm aware not all of you have different pencils. If you do, then absolutely crack on with it. Otherwise, just use your normal pencil and give it a go. I am going to just stop my screen share and I am going to switch the visualizer. I'm hoping you can still hear me. So here's my piece of paper. I'm going to see if I can focus this a little bit better. It's not great. Let's move it down slightly. Right, I just want you to have a go in the corner perhaps, just somewhere of hatching, okay? So if I go back to our drawing techniques quickly so I can remind myself. So hatching is very simple lines, okay? Now, I can build up tone using these lines. If I zoom in on there so you can see. I can build up tone using these lines by perhaps pressing harder or creating more lines in one area than in others. Yeah, so that is our normal hatching. We then have what we call contour hatching. So if I had a circle, for example, not a perfect circle, but it's fine. Contour hatching is basically curving those lines. And can you see I'm going to get darker here by using these curved lines? Try and create the tone. Okay, so that's contour hatching. Now, cross hatching we have spoke about. So you have your lines. You do your normal hatching one way, and then you come back and you hatch across it. Okay, this is cross hatching. All right. You also have random hatching, which is actually, in fact, a bit like the scribble. Okay, I say scribble, but it can give an idea of a rough texture. So it might be, I don't know, I'm going to do some lines here. Might be I do some little curved lines. Yeah. So there's all these different sort of random hatching that we've got going on. Now there's also stippling. Now kingfishers, I have mentioned stippling before, and it is lots of dots. You might not be able to see that on the visualizer, but it's just where you're tapping your pencil, and then if I wanted to create tone, I just use more dots in one area than the other. Okay, now in sketches of fruit, you might see stippling to try and create the texture of the skin of the fruit. Okay, an ink wash, if I may, I think sometimes it's better with a pencil that does smudge. So let me find a gap on my page. So if I was shading, and also people do use ink, so maybe that's why it's called an ink, but if I'm using pencil, you see how using your finger to smudge can kind of create that 3D effect as well. Okay, so you can have a go at these techniques. Pause me now. I'm going to come back to my main screen for a minute. There I am. And if I just share the screen back onto the PowerPoint, there you go. You can see those 6 different ways to create texture using just line and tone, okay? So have a go of doing that. Pause me. When you've had a go of all 6, come back and we'll continue. Okay, not promising. We're going to see if this will work. I'm hoping it does. No, I think they've changed their website because of the home learning. Not a problem. It's absolutely fine. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. Show my PowerPoint, please. Here it is. Right, okay. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. Okay. So this was just looking at shading and how we can use our pencils to shade different items. If you look there, there's a wine glass or a flute, and shading has been used to show where the creases are in the fabric, where the light is reflecting. So it can be used to make a drawing really look 3D. Now, I do this quite a lot. When we're drawing people, I do say use those like sausage type shapes to kind of build up the body first. And if you do that lightly, you can then use an outline to kind of create a figure a little bit better. We're not going to watch the video, but if you would like to look at this in a little bit more detail, perhaps have a search on the BBC website. You may be able to find it. But Google is a really great resource. And remember, you can use Safe Search for Kids. So I would advise you to do that as opposed to Google. Perspective, we don't really need to look at. And again, with charcoal, it can be used to show tone using that lightness and darkness. Right, I'm going to come out of this one and go into a PowerPoint that is purposely on tone now, okay? Here we go. Right, now this is tonal shading, all right? I'm going to move my visualizer for a minute because you might need to see the whole paper. So we're going to look at how to create tone using pencil. All right, we're going to look at light, medium and dark tones. We're going to use cross-hatching to achieve tone, and we're going to hopefully identify what really good tonal shading looks like. So look at these images here. You can see a panda, an eye, and a man there, and you can see how they've used a pencil to create tone. You can see the light reflecting in the iris of the eye. You can see the light reflecting off the panda's fur, the light reflecting off the man's pipe, okay? You might think, oh, I've only got a pencil, I can't create very good art with that. Yes, you can. It's perfect. Look at it. You can see the different lightness and the darkness there, and it really can bring out a 3D effect to your drawings. So artists use tone to create observational drawings, and an observational drawing can be portrait, it could be architecture, we're looking at buildings, or still life. Now, we are, as Year 5, this term, looking at still life, okay, because it fits in really perfect with our topic of Sow, Grow and Farm. So this is what we're going to be building to. So each art lesson that we do will help us build towards that final piece of art, okay? So really take in what you're learning in these little ones, all right? You use layers of shading, and that helps to achieve the light, the medium and the dark tones. Cross-hatching is a great drawing, sketching technique to achieve the tone. And it's, again, I've shown you that where you use your lines, you're hatching in one way and then hatching the other way, or hatching over one side more so than the other. And remember, using a darker tone, you just apply a little bit more pressure if you would like that, and a light tone, you really hold your pencil very lightly, okay? Obviously, we talked about the variety of pencils, the harder pencils and the softer pencils. Softer pencils are really good with blending and smudging, giving it that effect. Always make sure that you're sharpening your pencil and it's nice and sharp when you continue with your drawings, okay? The most important tool, this is so important for an artist, is your eyes. You should look up at what you're drawing at least 3 times every minute. Observational drawing, to observe means to use your eyes and to look, doesn't it? So make sure you're making 100% effort to try and really study what you are drawing. It's very important, okay? You should also think about the direction of your lines. So if you've got a line that's coming down, think about where they meet. Look at the corner of this bottle, okay? If I was drawing my line down here, I then think, right, well, the line of this bottle isn't coming out here, is it? Really think at the direction of where they're going and if they make a point or if it's actually a curved line going round, okay? Again, really conscious observations is gonna nail that. Right, so on the website, this sheet, tonal shading, is on there. You don't need to copy it out. You don't need, you don't need to print it out. It's absolutely fine. As long as you have your piece of paper, okay? And it says you're going to have a go using your HB pencil to shade each box with the required tone. So all you've got to do, really, you could draw out a box for yourself if you've got a ruler, and you're going to start quite light at the left-hand side, and you're going to build up to a really dark tone in the right-hand side. Then it wants you to try and use the cross-hatching to achieve tone. Have a little go. Again, you could copy out this box in pencil, absolutely fine, and just have a play with it. Okay, I'm just going to move to the next one here again. So this just shows you the tonal shading. If your light source, that means your light or your sun, is coming from one angle of your room, so you can see the light source is coming from up here. When the light is shining down, the reflection is hitting this side of the bottle, isn't it? Okay. Now, because a bottle is transparent, there will be some reflected light. And this is why you can see the reflected light here. Heavier shadows, you can see, are darker. You've got light shadowing here. And you've got cast shadows, which is shadows that's made by the object on the surface that it's sat on. All right. Okay, so you're going to go try this activity. You don't need to draw anything. If you would like to extend your learning today by drawing an object and giving it a go and see if you can create that 3D, then that's absolutely fine. You might even want to try and draw a circle, draw around something circular, and try and use tone and contour hatching to try and make that circle look 3D as a sphere. Okay, I'll be really interested to see how you get on. And remember, this might be a bit like, well, why am I doing this? This is going to feed into your sketching final piece of still life later in the term. And we would have done this if we was in school as well. Good luck, guys. I am really keen to see your what you come out with. So please send it in. Please label it in the subject line, Miss Mathis, art lesson. I cannot wait to see. And I know you'll do perfectly fine. Bye, guys. Enjoy. Happy weekend as well.